I mean, this was over the course of 20 years. So the last 3, that's when, all of a sudden, morning drinking, a lot of alone drinking, in order just to feel like a normal person. The shakes, all that kind of stuff. The shakes really happened the last 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah, those are miserable.
And just horrible. The cold sweats, but, and just waking up and rolling around in bed and feeling like it's Christmas morning when I rolled over on top of a can that hadn't been opened yet. And it was like a present. It was like,
morning beer. Yeah, time for a power shower.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Sober Strong apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're part of the crew that doesn't back down. Every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities. Hit SoberStrongApparel.com and use code ROCKBOTTOM at checkout for 10% off. Stay sober, stay true, rep the crew.
All right, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan, here with co-host Rachel Sereni, and we got Mike Murphy today as our guest in the hot seat. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well. So a couple quick questions just kind of get started. We do a lot of recovery talking here. What was your drink or drug of choice back in the day?
I am a vanilla alcoholic.
Vanilla alcoholic.
Booze was my only thing. I tried giving drugs a shot after I got out of the Marine Corps, and it didn't do it for me. Weed made me paranoid. Pills made me want to throw up, and Coke put me to sleep. So I what worked.
It put you to
like within a half hour.
Crazy. I didn't know people got narcolepsy from cocaine. That's crazy.
It was nuts.
I don't know I don't know who your dealer was, but they were mixing it with Ambien or something.
See, that's the crazy thing is people used to tell me, people all the time, oh, you got bad stuff. No, everybody else around me was up for, forever. But no, it was me. I had a negative reaction to it, I guess, or I guess a positive reaction because it didn't work and I never used it again, really. I tried a handful of times, but no, it never worked. So I just gave up after.
That happened to me in Vegas one time. I was all pumped when I was 21 and my buddy and I came across this guy in the street in the, whatever that small district is. It's like the old school Las Vegas or whatever. And we bought some and we're all excited, brought it back to the room. It was like 10 people. We all did some and everybody just went to sleep afterwards. I was like, what the heck did we buy?
What the fuck? Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll get back
on until like 7 a.m.
Yeah, me too. I'd be cleaning my house until 6 and on a good day. But,
like my kittens and stuff. Yeah.
So moral of the story, good thing you didn't, you stuck with alcohol. I mean, it's, you're one of the rare ones that just stayed with alcohol. So when did you start drinking? Like, what was your kind of history with that?
I had a few instances growing up, like childhood, every once in a while trying a beer, sneaking it here or there. I believe an old childhood story was I got wasted at a wedding when I was probably like 4 because I saw wine and I thought it was juice. I don't know how true that is, but really in high school is when it kind of kicked into full gear. Like a lot of people in high school, I was trying to make friends and find an identity for myself and gain some popularity. My mom had sent me to a private Catholic school that I wasn't exactly stoked to be at. So the first 2 years, I really didn't make friends. And after I realized I was staying, I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to make friends. And what do you do at that age? You find the keggers. And that's what I did. And I found for whatever reason, I had a freakishly high tolerance. And I just ran from it from there. And that's where it continued.
Awesome. So how much did you think you start drinking? Was it primarily socially and was it just beer or were you getting into hard alcohol or a little bit of everything?
Oh, a little bit of everything. Yeah, depending upon what we could find at the house or what anybody brought to the house parties. But for the most part, it was usually the standard, just keg stuff, keg parties. But of course, usually a bottle of liquor would find its way into the mix. And I would definitely find myself at the front of that line. I didn't shy away from it. But yeah, in the beginning, it was definitely social, high school parties on the weekends, things of that nature.
Okay. So you put into private schools and you kind of just weren't, you said you weren't making friends. Do you know like what was your life at home like and why were you struggling to make friends there? Because I had the same issue when I went to private school. I was like the kid with a little bit less money than everybody at the school for some reason. And I just found it hard to make friends and relate to people. But was that your case?
No, mine was almost out of spite, really, the first 2 years. Like I said, I really did not want to go to this school. My mom was dead set that she was going to send me to it because it was going to give me a better future, chance of getting into college. But that also meant that I wasn't going to go to high school with all of my friends growing up. And so I actually, like we said, my last name is Murphy. Murphy's Law is a real thing. And whatever can go wrong will go wrong. For example, in order for me to not get into this high school, I tried failing my entrance exam and
Wow.
I ended up absolutely smoking it. And they're like, oh, he's an accelerated young man. He's in the gifted classes. No,
Wow.
I was not and I am not. So I was really spiteful in my first 2 years. I tried being as miserable of a teenager as possible to my mom, hoping she would take me out and send me to the public school. And finally, she more or less told me, she's like, look, dude, they've already cashed a check. Your tuition's paid. You better make the most of it. And that's when I was like, all right, I guess that's what we're going to do. And, my small little group of friends that I did have, I kind of became like the ringleader. I was like, guys, there's a party at so and so's house tonight. Let's just go. And that's where I, eventually turned into the party animal of my class a little bit and, got friends though. I had people wanting to hang out with me, people calling the house wanting to hang out, girls calling. And I was like, oh, this is just what life is. And yeah, it was just a full on party animal.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have a question. When did you start noticing it was a problem from that?
Ooh, a long time through just denial.
Right.
All through my adult life and my time throughout the Marine Corps, professional wise, afterwards, whatever job I was doing, I was one of those drinkers who I was like, oh, I got a good job. I'm making good money. No one said anything. No one's concerned. I'm just having a good time. I'm just, doing what people do. So it came all the way almost until the very end when I finally had to be like, dude, no, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And
So
what showed you that?
I really just it was coming to the end of everything had fallen apart, and I had had some really amazing jobs, some really awesome opportunities. I had ruined a lot of really good potential relationships, but friendships were gone. My family was getting tired of my shit, and I had kind of that moment where I realized, look, dude, like you are going to die if you continue doing this. What do you want to do about it? But at the same time, at that point, I was almost okay with dying. But it was a very long, drawn out process.
really, did you ever get to the point where it's like you were waking up and drinking alone and feeling like you had to drink before, starting your day and stuff?
Yes, that happened, I'd say probably around the last 3 years of my drinking, which is a long time to think about it. But for me, I mean, this was over the course of 20 years. So the last three, that's when, yeah, all of a sudden morning drinking, a lot of alone drinking in order just to feel like a normal person. Yeah. The shakes, all that kind of stuff. The shakes really happened the last like 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah. Those are miserable.
And yeah, just horrible. The cold sweats, but and just waking up and rolling around in bed and feeling like it's Christmas morning when I rolled over on top of a can that hadn't been opened yet. And it was like a present. It was like, oh, like
Yeah.
pouring up
Morning beer.
heavens.
Yeah. Time for a
So
power shower. It's like,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. So
Definitely.
did you notice like you noticed your drinking was getting bad and getting out of hand, but did you start to notice like your relationships getting out of hand? Were you getting into any trouble or health wise? Like what other symptoms and signs did you start to see?
The biggest symptoms and signs were losing jobs. I lost towards the end two really awesome jobs, one of which I had had for 10 years and lost that. And it was largely due to my drinking and just not caring about anything. And the final one it was about 2.5 years or so. So lost that. But the final one, when all of a sudden, like my coworkers were complaining about having to work with me, being around me, part because, yeah, I was getting hammered all the time. I was not taking care of myself. So I definitely smelled. My clothes smelled. Yeah, coworker relationships were absolutely strained. My family was growing concerned. And then eventually some really close friends of mine of years and years had seen what was happening. And at one point they reached out to my family and said like, hey, he's in a dark place and it's getting bad. So yeah, everything started to crumble really.
Oh, okay. Did you find yourself in any like legal trouble or anything like that? Or
Thankfully, no, and I don't know how. That is the only bit of Murphy's Law that's never taken place. No, I never got in trouble with the law. I no DUIs, no arrests, no drunken publics, no nothing. I do not know how because I mean I was an absolute train wreck. There were nights I was on my hands and knees crawling to get up to my apartment, just an absolute disaster. But no legal problems somehow. So knock on wood.
yeah, no. I think Rachel as well. You know, a lot of us alcoholics, career drinkers. You know, it's like we got away with so much. Like if I could, you know, add up all the years of time I should be doing, if I every crime I've committed, time I drove drunk, time I was carrying a drug or something, I'm like, Jesus, I would have like 17 life sentences.
God, God,
Yeah,
I don't. It makes me literally cringe. I just cringed. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
scary, scary. But I
My
already know
trial
what
would
this
not be
episode
here.
title is gonna be. Murphy's Law for sure.
I was gonna say
love it,
Yes.
that.
love it.
No, but I have a question for you. Okay, this would be like, what was your rock bottom, but what was the turning point for you? What was the last, 24 hours for you where you realized like I'm really done. Like I'm done. And what's your sobriety date, by the way?
Sure. So first, before I forget, I'll go backwards. My sobriety date is June 19th of 2020. Um, and
Okay.
rock bottom wise, I've had so many rock bottoms. It's sad. Like so many, like I think like a normal person would have thrown in the towel and I didn't. But the moment that I realized I was going to do something, I'll never forget it. I know a lot of people we talk about, the spiritual enlightenment and like the heavens opened and the light shined on me. That didn't happen, but I will never forget that I was on my sister's couch, which was also my bed because I was crashing at her house for a very long time, being a real awesome brother. So on the couch, it was about 1 in the morning, maybe, and everybody in the house was asleep because they all had work the next day. They were functioning members of society. I didn't. And yeah, 1 a.m. and I was pulling my hidden bottle of Jaeger that I had in my dirty laundry basket next to the couch, pouring shots for myself. And all of a sudden, it sounds cliche, I found myself on my knees at the coffee table and just going, what do I need to do? Because now it's official. I know I'm going to die. And there's a chance that my sister, my brother in law, or my niece are going to come out and find me dead on this couch one morning. Or I might just curtain call it. This is something's got to give. And it's like, God, what do I do? What do I do? And it was at that moment I realized, yeah, something had to be done. And I was really fortunate. To this day, I have a friend of mine of over 20 years that worked at a treatment center in Delray. And she had been making subtle hints to me over a few years about checking out the place she worked at. And they had a veterans program and I might dig it. She ain't telling me it was a rehab, but it was a little hint. And yeah, the next morning I called her and was like, okay, I waved the white flag. What do I need to do? And that's where we kind of got the ball rolling.
Wow, that
That's
is tough.
awesome.
Yeah, I recall something similar, like, a couple times I didn't quit after these, but, like, I recall, sometimes, being in my bed and grabbing the bottle from under the bed and just chugging it, then I'm just, like, wanting to break down in tears and be like, "What the hell do I have to do to stop this?" I'm like, "Why am I doing this to myself?" Been in my room for how many
Yeah.
days now, drinking the same bottle, it's like, God, it gets so exhausting, It's like, Rachel, you ever have moments like that?
Did I or do I? No,
Well,
I
that's a
did.
good question.
Yes.
Rock bottoms and sobriety happen too.
Yeah, I have mental breakdowns here and there.
Yeah.
No, but yes, I used to I actually would cry hugging my Pinot Grigio bottle. I would get the big bottles because I would go through about well, if I stayed awake and actually made it through, I got through like 2.5, 3 bottles of those a day. Yeah. So I cried holding that, begging for it to stop, but I would just keep drinking it. So I was very contradicting. So I understand that. I wanted it to stop for so long. I get it. And so
So,
you ended up going to rehab though, right?
Yep.
In Delray?
Yeah.
Okay, so we live near each other.
Yeah. No, we talk. You're in Caravella, right?
Yeah, Terravella JPG
Yeah,
2010.
yeah. As a Cardinal Gibbons boy.
Well,
But yeah,
now
no, I
I
was
feel
supposed to have
left
gone to
out.
Terravilla. So
Good.
Good. I know when I hit it off with people in my area, all of a sudden Rachel gets jealous, but here I am over here,
Fucking finally.
lonely in my crappy small town.
Hey, yeah, Chris too. We had somebody else on the show that's even closer in Coral Springs. But yeah, you're very close. So you ended up going to, okay, so you went to rehab in Delray. Delray happens to have a lot of rehabs, I heard. That's good and scary too, if you think about it, because it's close. But anyway,
yeah, it's
tell
the
me about it
recovery
though.
capital of the world.
So I had
World.
what was when you went to treatment? I mean, how many times do you think you had tried to quit before without treatment? And this was something we discussed today at my meeting, kind of like when you realize you don't have the willpower to quit on your own. And I just made a video about this on Instagram. It was like once you kind of just surrender and you're like, crap, I need to go get that extra help. You know, what was it like for you? And like when you went in there, did you feel like you were apprehensive to be there, or like did you embrace it right away? And what did you learn?
Yeah, so I had never tried to get sober before. I had never given it a shot. The longest bouts of sobriety I had up until getting sober was almost 10 months or so when I was deployed to the Middle East. And then I did for 1 month in 2014 just to see if I could. But I had never actually attempted to get sober. I had never been to an AA meeting, certainly never been to treatment. I literally waved the white flag and I had my last little hurrah, and I got dropped off by my sister at a detox, and it couldn't have been more picture perfect. It was just pouring rain out, and as soon as we walk up to the door, a giant bolt of lightning just hits, and
Damn.
I was good and hammered. But yeah, I got there. I'd never done it before. I knew nothing about it. So I think that's why I called the friend and asked to go to rehab, because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. And when I got in there, it's crazy. The drive there and even pulling in, I was almost more afraid of going there than I was Marine Corps boot camp. Because at least Marine Corps boot camp, I knew what I was getting myself into somewhat. I had seen the movies, I had, met Marines and all this stuff, but I had never met anybody that went into rehab. So all I knew was all the negative stuff that you see on TV and movies, and I was terrified.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got in there, and honestly, I don't remember much from my detox, except being astonished that alcohol was the most deadly detox. And once I got into the actual treatment center post detox, I kind of embraced it. And I was one of those people that I kind of enjoyed being there. I enjoyed learning about it. I enjoyed finally addressing, my PTSD, my drinking, issues from earlier in life that I always thought never affected me. That all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, never mind. Yeah, this all makes sense. So I really did. I kind of embraced it, and I really, the honesty, open mindedness, and willingness that kind of came into play before I even knew what it was. Yeah, I ran into it. I embraced it.
Good. That is awesome. Same here. I went in there willingly, but also like I told myself, oh, I can bounce out anytime I feel like it because I have the power to leave if I want to. But then after like a week or so, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually where I need to be. This is like I'm waking up finally. I'm like, if I would have gone home early, I would have been back to the bottle. But it does wake you up, some of the difficult things they ask you to do in there. And the first thing they did to me was ask me to write a letter to my sister who passed. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But once I wrote it, I was like, I feel good. So it's difficult,
Yeah.
but it's necessary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
didn't go into rehab. I actually went into sobriety not really knowing that I had to address issues. Like I knew I was upset about my mom passing away and about my childhood, but I really didn't know it was like that deep and all that work you had to do. And I went into it blindly. I didn't start the work until like halfway through, maybe 6 months, 5, 6 months into sobriety, the mental work of it. And yeah, this is work every single day. Every single day.
Yep, it is full-time job for sure. I mean, do you ever have, speaking of that, do you guys ever have moments, of weakness where you felt like going back to the bottle, but you had to really like use the tools you learned in rehab to stop yourself or the tools you've learned?
I'm to be completely honest with you, I'm one of the extremely fortunate ones that once the obsession was lifted, I've never even contemplated going back. I honestly got it now, going 5.5 years later, I couldn't tell you the last time where the thought even entered my mind into maybe you should go get a drink or just a sip, something to help you out. I mean, I got leveled this week with a $5,000 mechanic bill. And you know what? I was like, this is life. You've
Yeah.
got a job, you've got the money for it. You got a great car, just you got Murphy's Law of bad luck that your transmission needs work. And no, it's never come across to me. I could go right now down the street to a dive bar for 12 hours and watch football, and it'll probably never even enter my skull.
That's awesome.
I miss smoking cigarettes. That's it.
Yeah, sometimes I do crave a real cigarette every now and again. I mean, I vape constantly. That feeling of a real cigarette sometimes sounds appealing, but also I'm like, I don't want to smell like shit anymore. So, but anybody who smokes, I don't judge. It's just I don't want to anymore. But I can see why the
Just like
craving comes up though.
that. Yeah. For me, I mean, I didn't. So I wanted to be really cool, and I was drunk a few times. The whole Ratchet Rachel bullshit. Okay, I don't know, like, she really thought she was like a greaser. She was a mix of a few things, but she tried to be cool and chain smoke one night. And I guess I'm allergic to tobacco. Fun fact. Didn't know that after chain smoking almost half a whole pack because I was blackout of like Camel Crushes. And I landed in the hospital. I got like tonsillitis and shit. Like it was, you know what? Good times. Good times. Trying to show
Yeah.
off.
No, I know. Cigarettes, I used to sit in a bar over here, and this is a state where a lot of bars you can still smoke in and stuff. And I used to just take a shot, chain smoke, take a shot, chain smoke. And I'd walk out and I'd smell like smoke for like a week, no matter how many showers I took and many times I did the laundry. It's like, yeah, it's something that's the part I don't miss. But so with a question we usually ask, like, so you were in the military?
Yes, I was in the
And
United States.
so that kind of brings me to the question we ask a lot of people, like, was there things when you were drinking, whether it was, while you were having fun drinking or even at your worst and rock bottoms, were you trying to numb anything that you experienced in the military or in childhood or?
Yes, a lot of my drinking to forget and moments like that. Really, I mean, a strong basis of where my alcoholism came from was my refusal to address my PTSD, but specifically my issues with survivor's guilt. That's something that I carried home with me. I also, being a Marine, I didn't feel like I matched up to the guys that I went over there with. I ended up getting hurt a few weeks into us being in Iraq, and I spent some time away at a field hospital. And during that, my guys really got into some nasty, nasty shit. The type of stuff that, you read about Marines doing. And I missed out on those. And, there were unfortunately, some casualties. And I came home and I never addressed it the way I should have. I was one of those people where I had the idea that if I don't talk about it and I don't bring it up, that it'll just go away. And it doesn't. It sticks with you. And so there's a lot of times where I was drinking, trying to forget, trying to deny, you name it. And a lot of it was just suppressed by Jägermeister and whatever else. But yeah, that was a
Uh-huh.
large part of my drinking.
So when
And
you got
what was it like for you addressing the PTSD in sobriety for the first time?
question?
It was really tough, especially because I had started addressing it with the VA shortly before I went into rehab. I started doing EMDR therapy. I started talking to someone, but then when COVID happened, all that went away because the VA shut down. But I wasn't being completely honest in those sessions because I would drink before I showed up to the VA for my appointments. So I finally started addressing them and talking to a therapist and going through things like EMDR and RRT sober when I got to rehab. And for the first time in my adult life, especially since getting out of the Marines, I was facing it head on and I was sober and it was terrifying. But I also remember this sense of relief. One of the coolest things that happened was the place that I went to treatment at, we had a veteran and first responder specific track. And for the first time in years and years, I was around other veterans, and all of a sudden my sense of pride started coming back because I had lost that sense of pride from being in denial for so long, which is insane for a Marine to say, because we all know Marines, we are very arrogant and we will put that title on anything and tell anybody that's willing to listen that we were a Marine. And I spent 15 years denying it.
It is incredible. And thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for your service. Yes.
It is something to be proud of. And arrogance isn't the way I'd ever describe it, because I think you guys have every right to be proud.
Okay, I'll say it. We're arrogant.
Yeah. Be arrogant. Flaunt
Yeah,
it.
well, that's good that you face those issues after not numbing yourself. That's amazing.
Mhm. And what helped you feel safe again in your own mind from PTSD? What helped you with that?
A large part of it was being around other veterans, specifically when I was in rehab around those other guys and women. It showed me that I wasn't alone. And all of a sudden I started realizing there was a lot of other, veterans just like me. And then when I got out, I was still continuing to put myself around other veterans, whether it's different organizations, meetings, or like even right now, the gym I go to, the guy that owns it and he's one of the coaches, he's a Marine also. And just being able to talk to them, and it really kind of brings you back. But for the longest time, I was in just denial and I didn't think anybody would understand. And then all of a sudden, once you start talking about it and start talking about it with other people, you realize, oh, there's a lot of us. And, it tends to come organically, really.
Yeah, it's nice to not feel alone for sure. And especially with other guys in the military who can relate to the PTSD too. So, like, so many of us can't relate to whatever you went through over there. Got a couple crazy questions, random
Yeah.
ones to ask both of y'all. But if your rock bottom was a movie scene, what would the soundtrack be?
Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, okay. Actually, it'd probably have to be Hank Williams III getting drunk and falling down.
And you really want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Knuck if you buck.
No,
Knuck if you buck.
Crime
Nice.
Mob.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
good.
It's true.
I think mine would be, since towards the end I was collapsing so often, it would probably be Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Well, that's hilarious. I mean, there's
Isn't
so
that
many
fun?
more for me.
That's what we listened to as we crossed the border into Iraq.
That would be a badass song to listen to when you're about to, yeah.
I
Well,
hit the floor a lot.
yeah,
A
same.
lot.
I played pinball in my hallway. I just back and forth, back and
A lot
forth.
of mystery bruises. You wake up in the
Yeah.
morning, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
what
I
did
got
I
on
do?
tables and chairs, so I would dance on everything. I mean, I still do things like that, but when I was drunk, it was worse. So yeah, I would be on tables and chairs, fall off. I can't wear high heels. I used to try to wear high heels, and I would, you know, do that whole deer shit. Oh yeah,
You're a big karaoke fan, weren't you?
me?
I was.
I
She was a dancer for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I danced for real growing up. So, but when I was drunk, it was just turned into like massive twerking and it's really out of control shit.
Awesome. Well, those are all good answers to that question. So now we get to the kind of stuff about where you're at now. Like, you're about 5.5 years sober, it sounds like. And what are you doing now to stay sober, and what's your life like? You're working in like mental health and everything, or what's going on?
Yeah. As far as for maintaining my sobriety, I still do go to AA. I've got an awesome home group that I really like that I was introduced to a few years ago after I moved to the Palm Beach area. So yeah, still with AA. I still work with the VA as far as for my therapy goes. Med management. I take my meds. I need them. I need them for not only sleep, but for emotional stability. So I'm, yay meds if you need them. So yeah, maintaining those. So and then with therapy, but also I've found the gym that I belong to has become a huge part of my life and my mental health. They're really awesome. And I find myself there, usually at least 5 times a week. It's not a typical gym. It's like a Muay Thai and kickboxing gym, and they've done just amazing things for my mental health. And I'm really grateful for them. And I do work in the treatment field. I work in mental health and substance abuse. I've been doing it now for about 4.5 years. I started a year after I got sober, actually at the place that I went to. I got hired on as an alumni coordinator with them. and pretty quickly worked my way up to becoming the manager of that department, where I stayed for years until unfortunately they had to close their doors. And I took a little bit of time off from that business. And now for the past going on 4 or so months, I'm with a new treatment facility and doing the same thing, working with alumni. But I also have a very hands-on approach while they're with us, almost like a client liaison. So I'm
Awesome.
very involved with them. And yeah, it's great. I was really telling a client this morning when they were asking about my job, and working in this field can be incredibly rewarding. It could also be incredibly stressful and aggravating. But I also am fortunate enough to have a job where on more than one occasion, another person has told me, dude, you played a role in saving my life. That's
That's
something
huge.
a lot of people don't get. And I take that for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing for another human being to say to another person.
Yeah.
That takes a lot. And even now when I think about it, the first time it happened to me, it makes my hair in the back of my neck stick up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's working in the field is awesome. But as great as it is, I need to maintain my own personal recovery too. So that's when AA comes into play, and being a part of other organizations too.
Good. That's awesome. Wow. So how long have you been doing that
Um,
then?
It's going about 4.5 years. Yeah, because I've been sober now for about 5.5. And, after 1 year was when I was allowed to go work at the treatment center that I went to. So, yeah, about 4.5 years.
okay. And I have a question. What do you hope veterans hearing your story today that are listening?
The biggest one, and I really try to emphasize this, is that there's no weakness in asking for help. That's a huge stigma that we have in the military. I mean, I think men in general. I'm a big advocate for men's mental health, as well. But I think amongst veterans, there is this stigma that asking for help is a defeat. It's a sign of weakness, and it couldn't be more. It couldn't be more wrong, incorrect, whatever you want to word it. Me asking for help is what truly showed me my own strength. And through that asking for help, I'm now able to help other people, or at least try to help them. I never could have done that before. Before that, I was very much that you don't ask for help. You deal with it. This is what you signed up for. You knew going in this could happen to you. But if there's anything at all that I could ever give to anybody as a piece of advice, is just no. There's no weakness asking for help. It's a sign of strength, if anything, because you're not giving up. Going down the path a lot of us went, we knew it was going to come to an end because we didn't do anything about it. The fact that we reached that lifeline and said, look, can someone help me? And then we're able to turn it around and do things like this. If one person listens to this podcast and gets a message from it and makes that phone call or goes into a meeting or anything, that's a huge success. That's a life. That's a life that wouldn't have been saved had the three of us not said, we need to do something and we need to get help. We need help. Help us. And that's the biggest thing. There's no shame in it. Where is it a badge of honor?
Exactly. That's perfect. Just
Yeah,
like Sober Strong says, it's like sobriety is a badge of honor, you know? It really is.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is. And healing to you is going to the gym that you mentioned. And do you do anything else for yourself other than AA and the gym that you attend? Is there something else that you do, like in a spiritual aspect, religious aspect, to stay sober?
Yeah. Spirituality is something that I've been, I guess, searching for a while. Religion, even. I I don't know what I would call myself. I definitely couldn't say practicing, but there is a spiritual component to my life. I do believe I have a higher power. I don't know what that is. I just know it's something that's much bigger than I am, and it keeps me in check. I pray often. To who? I don't know. If it is my higher power, if it's anybody out there willing to listen. But I do find myself praying regularly, and it's always for others. It's very rarely ever for me. Meditation is something that I still really, really enjoy, and it's a practice, and I'm constantly trying to practice. I was taught how, while in treatment, at least the fundamentals or how to go about it. And I practice it. And I'm fortunate enough, I only live 1.5 miles away from the beach. So my Saturday and Sunday mornings, my walks to the beach for sunrise are incredible for me. And even, just during an afternoon sometimes, getting out there and getting away from things. So my spiritual component, it's a work in progress. I'm still trying to find where I need to be with it. But so far, I'm enjoying the road.
After going to
So
like meetings and stuff, did you start to find yourself actually believing in like the higher power and all that?
It's funny. When I first got to detox and treatment and they started talking about the big book, I thought they meant the Bible. And when I started hearing about the Lord's Prayer, I was like, crap, it's a cult. It's a religious cult.
Yeah.
And it took me getting out of treatment. And sure enough, at the first AA meeting I ever went to, just this salty old AA dude putting it out there like, no, you dummy. He's like, we're not talking about like Christianity or Catholicism or anything else. He's like, your higher power. He's like, it's what you make of it. He's like, it's
Yeah.
what you think. He's like, it can be whatever you want. And it reminded me of those old childhood books like Choose Your Own Adventure. And I was like, you mean to tell me I get to choose my own God? And
Yeah.
he was kind of like, yeah, if that's what makes you believe in something bigger than yourself, that's going to keep you on track and to do the right thing as a human being, then yes, make it what it is to you. And once he said that, it all just made sense. And I abandoned the ideas I had in my head, any type of stress or worry or concern. It went away. And I was like, man, just of my own creation, of my own understanding. And after that, no, it became really easy. And it hasn't left since.
That's great.
it's funny. That's funny. I'm sorry. Like one, that's beautiful because the aspect that you say, like, it can be anything, right? But it just brought back a story that happened to me quickly that I would love to share that I never remembered. It went very deep. I had a very similar experience and I was like, I don't know which God I believe in and things like that. And this old lady, I was outside of an AA meeting, I was new. She picked up a literal rock and she was like, this could be your higher power if you want it to be. And I just like, I was afraid and scared already. I was like sobbing. It was my first meeting ever. And she showed me a rock. And then she was like, this could be your higher power. And yeah, that just came to mind when you shared your story. So thank you for that memory.
Those memories
But
make a
it's
difference.
true.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So spiritual and
It's
so
so
deep.
true though. No, it's so true. Anything can be your higher power and it is up to us. I mean, I know they say surrender some control to, become the best version of yourself and get help and all that, but also we are in control, of who our higher power is. And, it could be a rock, it could be a person, it could be anything. It's a
Literally though.
good
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, I have nothing. I don't, there's no, when I think of my higher power in my mind, there's no face, there's no voice, there's no nothing. It's just, I know there's something. And that's enough to get me through the day and to attempt to be a good person. Granted, my algorithm on my social media would probably say I'm probably not a good human being. No, it's what keeps me kind of in check. Just knowing there is something there. I'm not the biggest thing in my life. There's something out there bigger than me that's put me here and has given me some type of purpose.
That's great. Yes, that's if you could if you could deliver like a 10-second message to your old self at that rock bottom moment you had, what would you say?
You're making the right decision. Trust your instincts and go with it. Take the suggestions of others. You're doing this for yourself and for a lot of other people, but you're making the right decision.
Good. How about you, Rachel? What would you say?
It's going to be okay. Literally, it's going to be okay. Just follow me.
Yeah. I'd tell myself for once in your life, don't be stubborn. Just listen to what other people are saying. Pay attention to what you've experienced. You don't want to go through it anymore. So go to treatment. That's what I was telling myself. But those rock bottom moments, those are powerful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had so many that it's astonishing that I'm still here talking to you guys right now. Like absolutely astonishing.
Yeah. It is a miracle we are all still alive.
Yes. And I do want to say thank you for your service. Seriously. Very big on people in the military who suffer and don't get the help that they need. So I did not know that about you also before you came onto the podcast. So I appreciate, you sharing all of that with us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that. It's I genuinely do. And anybody that takes interest in veterans and getting the help that they need, that's those are my people.
Good. Yeah, and at your job now, you find yourself talking to a lot of veterans as well, right?
I do. There's not a tremendous amount of veteran clientele that come through my current facility, but there still are some. And when they do, yeah, I latch onto them. Yeah, and they know like right away when we start talking, they're like, all right, this is our guy. So once I find out that we have a veteran in our care, without a doubt, I'm on them like white on rice. But yeah, my last job was definitely, it was more veteran forward. We had a lot more, but it's not even, it doesn't have to be in the workplace. It's crazy the amount of veterans I think of, including ones that I served with, that just through my story, being open about it, that it's helped impact them. And now they're celebrating a year, multiple years in sobriety. So it's been a gift for certain.
Let's see. What was one thing you miss about your old life that you're embarrassed to admit?
I don't know if I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I mean, I had some really awesome times. I before it got bad, I lived a pretty interesting kind of wild life. I spent 10 years managing a tattoo shop at Universal Studios.
Wow.
What?
The owner is married to one of the biggest singers in the world. I got to meet a lot of really cool people and I got to go to a lot of cool events. I've done some pretty awesome things, and a bunch of it was, with alcohol involved. So I definitely lived almost like this wannabe rock star lifestyle. And there's parts of me every once in a while, yeah, I missed that. It was exciting. It was crazy. I guess, okay, now that I think about it, the thing that I miss that I would be embarrassed about, because it would come from these kinds of stories, was the waking up the next morning, smelling like a bar floor, hungover as hell, and reaching out to a friend of yours going, you're not going to believe what fucking happened last night.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things. But other than that, I mean, I led a pretty wild life for a while. But yeah, it was those moments waking up in the morning, just feeling like dog shit. Like, you're not going to believe what happened last night. Those were fun. Now it's like, I stayed up till 10:30 last night. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a freaking party.
Yeah. So, oh
Yeah,
my God,
crazy.
10:30 is late for me.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah, me, I think it would be like, yeah, the reckless decisions I would make without thinking sometimes turned out to be kind of fun. And now I really generally think things through before I make decisions. And sometimes I miss that, just like not giving a shit side and just being like, hell yeah, I'll do it. I'll get that tattoo. I'll do that. Or I'll drive 2 hours right now to go check out a new bar. Like, but obviously all those decisions led to bad things. So it's not worth it. But I'm embarrassed to admit that sometimes I miss that reckless mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say me too then, because mine would tie in a little bit deeper. I don't want to say, well, I would say some of the people I'm embarrassed to say that I miss hanging out with. People could take that how they want that if they're listening.
Yeah.
But I do miss that because in turn it would lead to reckless decisions. And I don't want to say a lot of them were fun for me. A lot of them were actually really horrific. I got myself in a lot of trouble often. I was a person nobody wanted to drink with after a while. So I
Mhm.
really was not fun. I tried to fight like men all the time. I was just really, really, really reckless for real. So, but I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say that I kind of liked that, even though I'm still badass now. Like I'm actually more badass now. I feel for
Yeah.
sure. But I thought I
That's
was more
good.
badass when I was drunk. Like I
Yeah,
really did.
that false confidence and ego and stuff comes out, I had that too, but now it's like I like myself a lot more now. I was way more insecure when I thought I was a tough ass, so I don't get it. It's
But yeah.
kind of funny.
Yeah, that ego is real quick to come out. And that was a
Yeah.
big part of mine with the,
Yeah.
the tattoo shop days. Because I thought, because I had a celebrity owner and I got to meet all these cool people and it's Universal Studios, I thought I was really cool. And I was like, no, dude, you weren't. You're probably just an asshole.
Yeah, we have those realizations later. It's okay though. We are all better people now.
God.
So our last question that Rachel and I usually ask, to kind of close out is like, what for people that are sober curious listening right now and people new to recovery or in recovery, what advice would you give based on your experiences?
Sure. So, I mean, one is, if you're going to make the decision to get sober because you want a better life, is one of the biggest things you need to take into consideration is by getting sober, you're only removing the drug or the drink. Just because you get rid of those, your life isn't going to magically improve. Everything's not going to get better right away. People aren't just going to start talking to you again. Life's not going to be all sunshine, rainbows, and puppy dog kisses. Life is still going to life. Your past is still going to cause some turmoil and some stress in your life, but things are going to happen. Life is going to continue doing its thing. It's just how you're going to be able to address it now that you don't have the drink or the drug. So if you're thinking that just because you give up those things that everything's going to get better, it's not. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a lot of maintenance. So it is work. It is, a continuation of everything. But the biggest piece of advice that I can really give, and it's the reason that I am talking to you two today, is learn to take suggestions. That is the biggest thing that has shaped the course for me in my sobriety. And it started with the one tech at my rehab I went to. His name was, we called him By the Book Joe, because he was just, everything was done this way, no in between. Everybody couldn't stand the guy. But he would tell us every day, the first day you get out of treatment, go to a meeting. And if you can do that, your chances of making this work grow exponentially. And sure enough, that first day I got out, I found a meeting, and that turned into my first home group, which turned into me being of service for the first time and volunteering to clean that home group, which introduced me to my first sponsor, who then introduced me to my grand sponsor, who became my first boss in recovery. So I was able to make money. I had a sponsor. I was doing the steps. I was being of service. Next thing you know, that boss helps me get a car. And now I'm able to drive to that rehab I went to host an H&I commitment, which then showed that facility, hey, we've got this alumni. He's active with us. He's doing the right thing. He's got a car now. Let's hire him. And it gave me my first job in recovery and in treatment. And now it's turned into a career, and we're years later. And I'm absolutely convinced that it all spawned from that one thing, which was taking that suggestion of going to a meeting. And I've never stopped. If I meet someone that's in recovery for 6 months and they suggest something to me and it makes sense, I'm going to give it a shot. If I listen to someone that's got 20 years and they give me a suggestion and it makes sense or it intrigues me, I'm going to give it a shot. But if I see someone that has something that I want, specifically in recovery, and they suggest something to me, I'm going to listen to that. And I'm going to say, well, if it worked for them, who's saying it couldn't work for me? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what it does. So take suggestions, absolutely, all day long.
Some of the best advice I've ever heard on this podcast, honestly. That's very original. I mean, it sounds cliche at first, but it's like, it's so important to actually listen and let people kind of guide you.
Yeah, especially in this. I had no idea what I was doing. I showed up to detox. I had never even been to an AA meeting. I knew nothing about getting sober or being sober. So just hearing this old dude By the Book Joe every day give me this one piece of advice and that one suggestion and taking it, I have full belief that that's the reason I'm here today. That's what got the ball rolling and that proverbial young snowball going downhill.
Awesome. Rachel, do you have any other questions too?
No, again, I thank you for not just your service, but, speaking out on the mental health aspect of what a veteran, goes through, in addiction and the sobriety aspect of it too. So again, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think we talk a lot about sobriety and recovery, but the mental health side of it doesn't get addressed as much as it should. And it's one thing that I do see in my job also, to kind of just throw this in there. It's very, very rare we have a client come through that does not have any type of mental health issue or struggle. They go hand in hand. They need to be addressed and taken seriously.
Yeah, so true. Well, thank you so much for being on. Unless there's anything else we'd like to discuss, this is a great episode and really appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and talking about some of this stuff, because a lot of the stuff's not easy, but I think your advice at the end about suggestion is really, really crucial.
Yes.
I appreciate that. So thank you so much for being on.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. I really enjoyed it and really enjoy the
Thank
pod.
you.
So keep doing what you're doing. You guys are amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.